I think what we must appreciate is that Bantu education did not make us to yearn to get into areas that we were not allowed to get into in terms of education. The youth of 1976 were saying, we can't be limited to woodwork and biblical studies. We've got brains as, like any other racial grouping. So allow us the same space to showcase how capable we are in achieving for the country, because remember, these are South Africans. These are not people that want to use the Afrikaner resources to go and build another homeland somewhere for Africans. No. These are South Africans, and they are majority. You see, they are in majority. So all what they were saying is that equalize education, open the doors of learning and teaching for all of us so that we can compete and basically, appreciate our potential as human beings. So that's all what they were asking. But remember, you might be correct to say, in any situation, whether a dark situation or a sad situation, there are always lessons to be learned. So maybe it helped us to have a much better education policy, because we were benchmarking on the apartheid education system to say, no. If we want a better education for an African child, we're not talking about an African child in racial terms, but we're talking about an African child who's born and bred in Africa, whether black or white. We are saying that the education system must be equal, it must be not discriminatory, it must even embrace, issues of sexuality. There mustn't be a difference between a girl child and a boy child. They must all be given the same support if we are to build a country. And that's what I think we are doing. So surely there are lessons learned from the apartheid regime in order for us to basically embrace how we need to move forward. And also, remember that South Africa's constitution has been hailed as one of the best in the world. And that thing in itself comes with challenges. It comes with challenges, because if you read today, you are talking about the changing of the name of the country. People have got the right to wake up in the morning and say, no, we don't want to be called South Africans anymore. This thing does not have a meaning. What is that? We are south of Africa. What does that mean? Call us something else. And they are right, whether you agree with them or not. The Constitution protects them. If you don't give them that space, they're taking you to court. People wake up and say, we don't like your president. Yes, he was elected, during the elections, but now we're feeling that no, we don't like him anymore. Zuma must fall. So there is a campaign, Zuma must fall. But that what does that mean? It means that we want democracy when it suits us. When it doesn't suit us, it's no longer democracy. And what type of society are you building? Because the democracy must be democracy. It must be like the truth. It must be universal. There is no truth for Turkey, truth for South Africa, truth for Asia. Truth is truth. If I tell you that you scratch me here with your knife, blood will come out. That's the truth. It doesn't matter whether I'm an African or white or whatever. There will be red blood coming out of my skin if you basically scratch me with a knife. So even democracy is like that. Your rights must be universal rights like any other person. So don't only have rights and deprive others of their rights, because the people that voted Zuma into office, it's their right as well. Democracy prevailed. That Zuma is the president of South Africa. So why do you want to challenge that because you don't like him? You can't. That's why Zuma will serve his term of office. Zuma was not elected by the popular masses of South Africa. Zuma was elected through the political system of South Africa. The party that has got the majority will be the one that delivers the president of the country. If you want to change Zuma, change the Electoral Act of South Africa. So even people who never voted for the ANC are the ones that demand that Zuma must fall. So what are you saying about the majority that voted Zuma's party into office? You are saying that no, their vote is insignificant. Then that's a recipe for disaster, that's a recipe for conflict. People will fight because you are unreasonable, so you must expect unreasonable results in the process. So I'm saying that there are lessons to be learned from some of these issues as we move forward. And we must also surely benchmark ourselves with other systems across the world. But what is more important is that we must always look at what type of society are we building. And these people, when they open opportunities, when they open university, there are universities for us to bring students here, they are not doing us a favor. Because some of you don't even go back to your respective countries. You end up serving their economies because they can identify that this person is an asset. We must pump more money in that person, completing his PhD or a PhD, because we want them to be basically here. After your PhD, they give you a position, they give you an office, they give you a house, and say, stay here. You can visit your family, but remain here. So your contribution will be to their economy, not to your country's economy. Even though you might be sending money home, but your intellectual contribution is here. So they're benefiting a lot by investing in you. So these are some of the realities that we must basically appreciate. That we are not here through the mercy of certain governments. We are here because this is their plan to build their economies, to build, to contribute towards Africa developing, but also contributing towards making the world a peaceful order. So they will apply all mechanisms and measures to see to it that they also play their role. That's why we share, different platforms with countries such as Turkey. We are members of the G20. We serve in a number of multilateral platforms where we have common positions. So Turkey is our ally, and we really appreciate their contribution towards developing Africa. I think the others were compliments which I'm graciously accepting, that South Africa has helped not only Africans but also some of the international students coming to study in South Africa, and we are doing that within the understanding that Africa can be prosperous if Africa works together and we forge unity in Africa so that we can be able to ensure that it realizes its potential. I think I dealt with the issue of the changing of the name of the country, that it's a democratic process. It doesn't mean that when a person proposes something, it will become the result ultimately. But as we know that...
Your Excellency, sorry, maybe if I can just interject. I think the understanding is people would like to understand Azania is the new name. What is the motivation behind that?
There's no such a thing as Azania. There's no such a thing as Azania. I'm saying people are making their proposals, people will tweet, people will post on Facebook their preferences. That doesn't change the name of the country. We remain South Africa until such time that we follow all the processes that will deliver a change of name if there is a need for that. So all these issues are basically subject to consultation and public participation. South Africa contribute towards an integrated economic order of Africa. So if you talk about the land policy of the ANC in, what is the date? When is the policy conference? No. The policy conference in July. Yes, in July. If I'm not mistaken, on the 15th of July.
Yes.
The ANC will be going on a policy conference. And that's where we will be basically reviewing all the policies, including the issue of the land. So for now, the issue of land, it's a policy discussion issue. And once it's finalized in July, it will be ratified at the national conference in December, and the ANC will pronounce itself on the final resolution of South Africa. How do they see the South African land question evolving? I trust that I did justice to the questions.
Thank you. Thank you.
Once again, thank you very much, Your Excellency. It's heartwarming that we have opportunities such as this to engage with you. And I hope it's not the first and the last. I hope there will be many more opportunities, even with other African ambassadors and ambassadors from across the world, to engage like this. At this moment, as we are heading towards the end, we are right on schedule. Don't worry, it's 8 o'clock. If you look at your program, you'll see I've done my job very well in terms of that. So you can give me a round of applause, actually. That's what I'm asking. Thank you.
You deserve a standing ovation.
Thank you, Your Excellency. I would like to introduce and call upon the President of AFSAM, Mr. Mustafa Efe. Before he comes, maybe just a short introduction for those of you who don't know him. But I believe most of us here should know who Mr. Mustafa Efe is. He is a Turkish national, but we always say somewhere there was a mistake in the delivery process, because Mustafa has spent more than a decade in Africa, living there, not traveling between Turkey and Africa, more than a decade in Africa, and he's regarded, even here in Turkey, in the Middle East, in perspective, and in Europe, as an expert on African affairs. He's also published, he's also a published author, and what he has authored is specifically about Africa and Africa-Turkish relations. Hopefully we'll see, maybe later we'll give those who don't have the book yet copies of the book. But please allow me at this point in time to welcome the President of AFSAM, Mr. Mustafa Efe.
Thank you very much. Actually, I don't deserve much, that just we did what we had to do from our part. And when we come to program, and I would like to welcome to all to the Soweto Uprising commemoration program. And also last year also it was the 30th the anniversary of the Soweto Uprising and commemoration. Also last year we had that program. We had the program. And these are the milestones of the African history, and which we always to remember. The reason is that not only the Soweto Uprising program, but also the others we are having the programs. Also in future, you can participate to the other programs. And when it comes to a South African contribution to our African studies, also I used to live in Johannesburg. Also I'm the Joburger called actually, and just it was after apartheid's demise in 2002. We saw how society was transforming and how deeply society experienced apartheid's. That apartheid's torture in the cities, in the manufacturers, and in the schools. And I listened lots of actually stories and how they experience.